The Dane and Derek Show is an uncensored, unfiltered podcast. Content warnings can be found in the episode description. Hello and welcome everyone to the Dane and Derek Show, your weekly shoot the shit podcast where two nerdy friends keep in touch and I guess shoot the shit. My name is Derek. I'm a writer, director, and a very frequent tabletop RPG player. And with me, as always, is my good friend Dane.
Hey, I'm Dane. I'm a writer, musician, podcaster, and lover of tabletop RPGs.
So Dane, have you discovered any new art forms recently?
So, in preparation, not to get too, I love how Sam says this, inside baseball about this. When you sent me the document that we used to sort of structure our recordings, I looked at this and I was like, oh my god, I don't think I've run into a new art form in a long, long time, or at least not one that was registering to mind. So honestly, I haven't, but one kind of came right back up to the fore. Last week, I was on a hike with a good friend of mine, and we were just kind of driving around trying to find a hike because it's been raining a ton here. Whatever, a lot of the trails are sort of washed out right now. Anyways, and we went past kind of a truck stop kind of place, and there were a bunch of rat rods in this truck stop. And I and that kind of brought to mind what I kind of would call automotive art. Though I would be honest, not a lot of people would super agree with calling car restoration, hot rodding, modding, rat rods, all of this stuff. They would not necessarily call it art, even the people who make them. And I haven't thought about this sort of work in a long time, not in a serious way. I used to be a lot more involved with it when I helped my grandfather restore an old Volkswagen. And I would go to a shop every summer and kind of help him out there. And, I would talk to people who did decals on cars and, fabrication and all this stuff. And there's an art to it. I think that you might be able to get them to call it a craft, but I don't know if you would call it an art. But there is so much artistic sort of work to it, and it kind of gets into this thought process I have where it's yeah, that's art. To me, it's all art. Everything is art, and nothing is art to me. In a way, if you make homemade little packets of tea, if you want to call that art, that's great. I'm there for it. If you write poetry and you're just nah, this isn't art, this is just the thing I do, also fine. It's all great to me personally. But yeah, do you know what a rat rod is? Because it's not a super common. Okay, so you know what a hot rod is, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so a hot rod kind of aims to take sort of a classic car and sort of soup it up, right? Make it more than it ever was, as opposed to a restoration, which is kind of just trying to get it nice again. A rat rod is for lack of a better term, it's trying to Mad Max the shit out of something.
Oh my god.
It's like hot rodding, but with a whole lot of purposeful jank to it. There'll definitely be those really cool kind of extended exhaust, but only on one side. And there will never be glossy paint on it like a hot rod. It'll be you can see where the welding is, and there's usually some humor to it, and they look aggressive and kind of not rusty exactly, but close. It's very interesting. It's a very particular sort of thing, because it's taking a 1945 coupe, which someone could turn into a crazy $100,000 restoration, or these people turn it into a still sort of valuable thing, but way more personable. And like I said, some of them get really Mad Max about it, very much this is a thing with a skull on the front and it looks like it's going to eat you, all the way to someone who's I want this to look like when it drives, you should hear a banjo playing in like a really funny way, and there's like literally like a giant, like, instead of like like how like a thunderbird has like a big bird like sort of ornament going on, there's like a giant rat on it instead. uh so like I saw some of those, and I kind of like flash back to all these car shows I went to and all the time spent in like the hot rod shop that I did the Volkswagen in, and all kinds of stuff. So
Wow.
yeah.
Wow. That's really
What about
cool,
you?
man. I no, I think it's kind of twofold. Let's see. I've been taking photos on Polaroid cameras lately. I got like a new Polaroid camera, one of the new like Insta whatevers. It's not like a retro camera, but I've been using like Polaroid film and lugging it around everywhere and taking photos of people and like writing who it is, where it was, and the date. And I don't know, like I've never been really that attached to Polaroids, but the act of taking a Polaroid is there's something very like everybody relaxes and you get a very different emotion out of everyone than when you like pull out your big DSLR or something to snap a photo of someone. Um, and that's just something that like I see why people exclusively shoot on Polaroids, and that I think is really really interesting and really really different for me at least because I'm not I don't know I'm not like I like film. I think film is cool, but I'm not like attached to film like some people might be, like I like 16 mil film. I like 35 mil film, but I'm not like going to go out of my way to film things on those things. But
Yeah, don't want to go into a dark room.
yeah, there's just some things I don't want to do, or like I'd rather have the security of knowing my image is probably going to be okay.
Yeah.
Um,
Have you ever gone into a dark room and done that?
no,
It
never.
is weird. There's
Huh.
something very spooky about it. I haven't done
Yeah.
it since I was like 11 or 12.
Huh.
My mom's an art teacher, and fun fact, if you're a public school art teacher, you are forced to learn and teach all forms of art. So at one point she taught photography,
Mm,
which at the time meant including film photography and the darkroom process and all that. So I got kind of roped into that.
very cool. Very
Mhm.
cool. I can't remember the second thing I've discovered. But if I
If you
do,
remember,
I'll
just blurt it out.
yeah, I'll blurt it out. But I can't remember. I was like thinking about it because I was like, which one do I do? Do I do Polaroids or I do this other one? And I literally just I was like, I don't remember. Um, all right, well, if I, if in the middle of our conversation with this week's topic, which is art shaming, you hear me blurt out something random. That's a thing I also discovered recently. But Dane, you were the one that suggested we talk about art shaming this week. So what's up, buddy?
So, um, I will just start with how this sort of like came up and why I suggest, well, how like my brain was kind of triggered into suggesting it. I recently listened to the latest Jack Johnson single, which is "The Captain Is Drunk," which I think you suggested. I think it was you who suggested I go listen to it. And I have loved Jack Johnson since I was like 10 or 11 years old. I think his music is very sweet and relaxing and fun, and I've always liked being able to sing along. And for me, it's very funny because when I first started singing along with Jack Johnson, my voice was too high to sing along with all the parts, and now my voice is too low to sing along with all the parts. Whatever, it's just silly to me. And in college, I went to work for a radio station. Lots of good people work there, so I will not name it and I will not name names. But I went and I worked for this radio station, and I was made to feel very bad for liking Jack Johnson. Um, so much so that I have not really, like, I still listen to his music, but only up to a point, which is up to his last release in that was while I was in high school. And I remember when that album came out, it was super fun. Our friend Taylor, I don't remember where I was driving her, but uh, she's a fan too, and at least at the time. And I had downloaded the album, and I waited until I went and picked her up, and then I started playing it so we could hear it together as we drove. I don't remember where we were driving. I just remember it was kind of like late afternoon, evening, summer sun, and like Jack Johnson was playing, and we were having a great time. Uh, that was a lovely moment, and it's the last. I haven't been able to really keep up with Jack Johnson because I felt so bad about it. So, kind of what I mean when I suggested this topic is kind of twofold. One, there is often shame associated with liking certain types of art, of any certain mediums, certain genres, that comes from all sorts of different directions. And there is also shame in making certain types of art that comes in different directions as well, right? Like there is the direction of the guys at the radio station gave me shit for liking Jack Johnson because he was popular and not very like highbrow, right? Alternately, there are people who would make fun of the radio station people for the fact that their music is kind of unintelligible and janky and kind of just weird for the sake of being weird, like, or there's the version that is like, this isn't quote unquote high enough art, or this is, or your art isn't popular enough. All of these things are reasons to shame someone for the thing they like. Alternately, as a person who creates, you can make the quote unquote wrong thing. If you, let's, for example, if you're in kind of a academic music circle, it's usually not good to write tonal music. And on top of that, how you're not really a composer if you're composing tonal choir music. For example, a composer who you may not have heard of, but lots and lots of people in like the choir world will know this name, Eric Whitacre. His music is often maligned, basically because he's vaguely popular as far as like choir music goes. And so this is a thing that fucking infuriates me. It just makes me so damn mad. Like, like right now, I'm getting worked up. I don't know if you can hear, but I like it makes me so upset because why? Just fucking why? Why? Like, and here's the worst thing. The thing that like makes me the most mad is like I fucking participated. Like with my partner, the person I love to death. Early in our relationship, I made her feel bad sometimes because she liked pop music. Because I was like so in the academic music world and like the radio station shit that like I was like taking all that shit in and then spitting it back out at people. And like some of that like stuff like I've kept and like genuinely like some of her music I don't like. I just don't. Which like of course you don't like everything that everybody likes, even if you really like that person and like appreciate their taste and whatnot. And so like this is like the thing that like kind of eats at me, right? Like it's like some people make art that is just not super respected, or content, or create things that is just not respected, and I sometimes get just so frustrated when people are made to feel bad for liking what people make or for making the wrong thing. And so I just kind of wanted to talk about it. I'm just kind of ranting right now. There's not a direction, so I want to give you a second to respond while I build up a new head of steam.
Yeah, no, I feel like art shaming is very indicative of the experience that is, well, A, like making art at a young age, and B, going to art school, and C, like wanting to not be ostracized or kicked out of the art circles you're in, I, because like, yeah, I mean, like, uh, I mean, I've dealt with art shaping my whole life, right? Like, I love Power Rangers. but a lot of people fucking hate Power Rangers, and I get a lot of shit for it. Just as much as like I don't like horror movies, and a lot of people give me shit for not liking horror movies. And it's like, like, yeah, I'm sorry. I get scared. I get scared shitless, and I don't want to be scared shitless when I'm in the theater. And that's my prerogative. But and then to that, like, like getting shamed for making like fantasy adventure movies, or for not making films about like, I don't know, a college kid waking up to an alarm clock and uh, angsting over something that is kind of objectifying of other people. Like that is the kind of stuff that in film school, at least, I remember experiencing a lot. That I wasn't making those kinds of films, so I got shamed because I wasn't, I don't know, being an ass with my art. Um, and and also too, like as like an artist of color, like I also get this shame of like, why are you making a fantasy movie? You need to be relegated to just making films about being a person of color, you know and I get a lot of that weird shame, which is like a whole extra layer of like what the fuck. And I just, like, I don't know, I think art shaming in a lot of ways is my mother always used to tell me that if someone says those kinds of things to you, they're just saying it to you because they want you to feel worse than they do about themselves, right?
Yeah, of
Um,
course, of course.
yeah, and but I think like when it's your art, because it's something so personal, it's like it's a little bit difficult to dissect and to like remember that. And I think the older I've gotten, the more better I've become at sort of just knowing when someone is just saying it to be hurtful because they're insecure themselves and I should feel bad for them because they don't get it. And I've like I'm working on this one movie right now, and it's like a Power Rangers movie basically. And it's like it's really for all intents and purposes, it's dumb. It's really dumb. It doesn't make any sense. It's very contradictory to a lot of things that I believe, and it's but it's like, it's silly. But every time I pitch it to someone who I know like doesn't like Power Rangers, I've noticed that there are ways to get people to like the things, to not shame you for the things that you're doing, and it's like a real fine line between like it's like it's I don't know, it's like deciding whether or not you like peanut butter and jelly, peanut butter or jelly. It's like those are three different types of sandwiches for three different types of moods you might be feeling. Like I I don't think you can eat just one of those for the entirety of your existence, unless you're allergic to peanuts. Then you probably can't eat peanut butter. um
True, true. The
you
metaphor
know
breaks down there, certainly,
yeah,
certainly. But maybe you're allergic to horror. I don't know. I don't know. There's something to
yeah,
it.
there, yeah, well, yeah, there's something there, right? Like I think, like, I don't think it's all like the thing about art shaming is like I don't think it's all like people who art shame feel bad about their art, and I don't think it's all the more you get art shamed, the thicker skin you'll build up. Because I think some of it can be from a valid place of critique, just presented incorrectly, and some of it is good to remember that like there are people waiting, like like sharks in the water, to tear you apart,
Yeah,
and that can be good, but to a point, right? Like,
yeah. Like there's a point where like yes, you need to be critiqued, and I'm actually kind of a proponent of people sort of not tearing your art apart, but like getting knocked down a little bit so that you can pick yourself up and also kind of like get over yourself, like a little. But there's a very very distinct difference between like learning that you are you and you don't need to be comparing yourself to everybody, and you're not the best and you're definitely not the worst, and like all of these other things, and being so torn apart that you don't want to do your thing anymore, right? In the same way that there's a difference between uh telling someone they're stupid for liking a certain thing and asking why do you like that thing, because I don't like it. Like that's the thing. Like I'll use like, I hope she doesn't mind, but like Gracie and I still talk about music, and she still likes music that just like truly drives me up the wall. Like I can't handle it. Um,
mhm.
and so over time, I've taken to asking her when those songs come on. I'm like, why do you like this? Like, what does this do for you? Because it's doing like, because like I don't get it. Like I genuinely don't get it. And I have learned so fucking much. I've learned so much.
Yeah.
Um,
And I think
because
too,
like
yeah.
yeah, just because she's told me things and talked to me about this perspective that I never really appreciated. Sorry, I totally interrupted you.
No, no, no. I interrupted you. I think with art shaming too, it's, at a certain point, like can forget that you're art shaming, right? Because it just gets so you put up walls to protect yourself, but inadvertently those walls become weapons against other people that you like and care about. Something that I always have to interrogate is, why do I dislike this thing? Do I dislike it because I actually dislike it, or do I dislike it because someone told me I should dislike it? Um, a long time ago, in a college far, far away, I used to do this thing called the Citizen Kanes of the Week, where I would post films that I felt were as good as Citizen Kane. Um, which, oh my goodness, I got torn to shreds over these hot takes. But those were things I genuinely believed because I, like I don't want to be like these are films that I love that I think are as good as Citizen Kane, and people were shaming me for thinking that Video Game High School is as good as Citizen Kane. Maybe they're right, maybe they're wrong, but that's my opinion. It doesn't say Citizen Kane's bad. It doesn't say VGHS is bad either. It's just it's a thing, and I think when you manage to remove that sort of like, why am I disliking something, and you're able to figure out exactly and parse that, it allows you to kind of look at things a bit more. You can enjoy art again, right? Like, I think too much art shaming can lead you to, like you said, like, never do the thing you want to do. I've definitely taken extended periods of breaks from making films, and that's been detrimental just because it's of the art shaming that went that happened, and that's not fun, because I definitely think back to those times and I was like, wow, the only thing that stopped me was that, so and so said this, and that really hurt. That really hurt a lot more, and it was from a place of, I don't know what place they were saying that from, and because it, like looking back, it's like that film wasn't as bad as they made it sound, you know, but it definitely took a toll. But at the same time, yeah, because I feel like art shaming is the malicious version of critique, right?
I think it's a malicious version of critique for sure,
Yeah,
for sure.
yeah,
Because it something about it feels like a toxic critique. Sometimes to me does not feel like art shaming. Like there's almost something like cultural involved. Like you were talking about being in art school and being in film school. Like there's something pressure about it. Like you where it's like you are supposed to like Citizen Kane and you are not supposed to like Power Rangers. I am supposed to like fucking, I don't know, Broken Bells and not like Jack Johnson, when in fact I like both. Like it's these things of like, what are you supposed to like as established by someone else, as opposed, and what you're supposed to make. You in film school were supposed to make films about being in film school and not a fantasy adventure story. You
right.
know?
Yeah, that's a great way to put it. Right? It's art shaming happens on the pretense that there is a right and wrong piece of
Mm-hmm.
art to like and not like, and that's just bullshit.
Right, like it's, if you're a creator, you can be shamed for the very thing you make, not any specific thing you did, right? Like you, Derek, could be attacked for the fact that like you make fantasy films, not that, hey, in this one movie you did this thing that just didn't work, right? Like that's
Exactly.
very
Well, yeah,
different. Or even someone
exactly.
just being like, someone could come to you and be like, this particular movie was dumb for X, Y, Z, and alpha. Like just like all of these reasons that are just mean, right? But they're attacking the specific thing. They're not attacking, they're attacking the specific work. They're not attacking what you do. Does that make sense?
Right.
And
Yeah,
both are toxic, right? Um
but at
and
least with the
so
work, there's like a little bit of a shield.
yeah, sometimes. Yeah, like cuz it's not about like your taste or whatnot.
Yeah.
And so, and like the thing about it that like sometimes frustrates me so deeply is that like not only is it like ingrained in the cultures we choose, right? Like I wanted to work at that radio station. I wanted to go to music school. Um, but it is also embedded in our culture, right? I
Yeah.
said this last episode too. I love romance. I do. Like when it I, I'm not a huge fan of like Harlequin uh romance, but like I really like romance as a part of a story or even the central part of a story. Um and as a like cis straight man, I am not supposed to do that. And that's bullshit, you know?
Right, right. Yeah, cuz it's I see, yeah. No, yeah, exactly. I mean, hey man, I like Power Rangers and that's a show made for 8-year-olds. I still watch Power Rangers and it still is awesome. You know. We all have those things and I think it's like cuz I think the important thing too, right, is like there's this idea that by shaming someone for the art that they're not supposed to like that they'll help that artist cut it out of them, right?
Right. There's almost something like
It's like I'm telling you not to like this because it'll bend because then you won't tank yourself later. But it's like it's not that's not true at all. Like I can still like Marvel movies and just as much enjoy Watchmen, right? Like they're
mhm.
not mutually exclusive. Or I can just as much enjoy Power Rangers as I do Pacific Rim, or I can watch Pacific Rim and still love Nomadland. You know, like I can enjoy I
Yeah.
can exist in both worlds, and I think that that goes for everyone, right? And I think it's like I yeah.
Right. And like sometimes I feel like we are allowed to let these things out by calling them guilty pleasures,
Ah,
you know?
yeah.
And at this point I fucking hate that. I fucking hate
Hmm.
that. No guilty pleasures.
Right. Like, why
Like
can't you just own it without it being a guilty pleasure?
right. So we're coming up on the end of this episode. And so what I think we should do is I'm going to list like somewhere between 3 and 5 things that I often call a guilty pleasure or think of in that way that I don't want to think of that way anymore. If you want to join me, go right ahead. So I'm just gonna go Jack Johnson, beach bum, pop rock singer songwriter. Love that shit. I love that shit so much. Uh, Romance in all kinds of mediums, in my fantasy stories, in my tabletop RPG games, in my audio dramas, just put it in there. I want it. Dua Lipa. I fucking love Dua Lipa so much. Like way too much. But like I'm there for it. It's not a guilty pleasure. I just enjoy it. I enjoy like schlocky glide not schlocky, just see I'm doing it right there, right? Like I enjoy Diablo, like the video game Diablo, which is like it is what it is, right? Like it's just kind of fun, like whatever, and I like shonen anime too. Like even some of the like the less acclaimed stuff. So gonna gonna stand on these hills.
Yeah, I mean, I think for me, like I really love uh I love like sitcoms. I love sitcoms. Like I love New Girl. I love Community. I love Friends, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um
Mm-hmm.
but specifically New Girl. Love New Girl, but for some reason it's people would categorize that as a guilty pleasure, which is weird because it's such a good show.
Mm-hmm.
Um, uh, in addition to that, I mean, like I genuinely love lo-fi hip hop, like beats and stuff like that. I think the
Oh my
production on
god.
that is so great and
Oh,
so
I love
smart.
that shit too.
I really enjoy it. I don't have a problem with it. I don't know why people have problems with it. I mean, I see why people have problems with it, but I don't think, yeah. I like lo-fi. I like lo-fi beats. And I also like watching slam poetry. I feel like slam poetry gets like this weird kind of rap in the world. Like you either got to be like someone who's famous and doing slam poetry, or you're just kind of a meme. And I feel like, I don't know, like some of this stuff's like really, really, really well written, better written than anything I could write or anything that most people I know could write.
And then they perform it.
Then they perform it, yeah, in front of hundreds of people. Of people.
Yeah, it's amazing. Yeah. So, in conclusion, fuck yeah! If you make things that, like, my only qualification is like, if you're making things that are hurtful to people intentionally, that
go fuck yourself.
You can go fuck off. Like,
yeah.
If that's what you're doing, okay, we can all shame that person. Like, yeah. Like you can go take your Nazi art down. Like, yeah, you can fuck off. But like, if you just make stuff, you're awesome. No shame. If you love random things, if your thing is, I like crossover romance fan fiction, if that's your jam, don't hide it. It's awesome.
Yeah. The irony of art shaming, right? Let's not art shame, but it's okay to shame Nazi art because fuck yeah, we should be punching Nazis in the face.
Okay, yeah,
there's no contestation on that.
If you're contesting that with me,
I'm not.
Not you, but like I'm talking to like an imaginary person. If you're contesting not wanting Nazi art around, no thank you. We need to have a serious talk.
Yeah. But yeah, just so everyone on the internet knows, the Dane and Derek Show is an anti-Nazi podcast. We will punch you in the face if you're a Nazi. And if you're a Nazi, you can unsubscribe from our show.
Yeah, please. You can you know where the door is if you're a Nazi. Like, isn't it wild that we have to say that now?
Yes, it is. Isn't it fucking insane. Wild? Like, it is insane that we have to say that.
If you and I had, if we had gone back in time and told ourselves when we met that, hey, in like 10, 11-ish years, we're going to be like, the Nazis are going to be back in like a weirdly big way, we would have been like, yeah, whatever, man.
Yeah.
Like, what are you talking about?
Yeah. Like, okay, who cares? 2012 is supposed to happen and that didn't. So that's bullshit.
Yep.
Well, on that note, sorry.
You can see what movies Derek's watching on Letterboxd at Benig-Aiello and Benig-Aiello everywhere else.
And you can listen to Dane's show at Diceology, spelled like the science of dice, on iTunes, Stitcher, and Spotify. The next anthology called Shepherds is out. You can also follow him on Twitter at Dane_Fogdoll. And you can tweet at us. I'm just going to throw this out there. Whoever draws fan art of us punching Nazis, we will send you something.
Yes, we will.
We will send you something.
Yeah, there will be.
Yeah,
we will.
That'd be pretty sick.
Yeah, totally.
Well, that's why I've been laughing for the last 5 minutes.
That's a really good image. I want this very badly.
Yeah. So if you do fan art of that, we'll send you something.
Hells yes. But thanks for hanging with us. We'll see you next time.
Yeah. Bye.